Welcome to Detroit's Darkest Times. This your man Slick. I just want to get on here and touch base with everybody and let everyone know that we got a segment coming up, and it's going to be where I am in life today versus where I was years back. So everybody has a different outlook on things over the years. And then also everybody's in a different position as years pass than what they was years prior. But I think it's real important to discuss the journey that I went through and where I'm at in today's time. Also, I want to mention, I hope if you haven't seen the Theo Von interview with Mike Tyson, make sure you check that out, because they had me rolling. I was laughing so hard I was crying. But it was a real good interview. I enjoyed it, and it was the best one yet that I've seen. So, and Mike Tyson always gives a good interview, and he's the man. And versus any boxer, I liked a lot of boxers in the past, but Mike Tyson is the man. And he's just been he's always been inspiration to me, and I used to just love watching his fights and the way he approached the ring and the way he just put them guys on the ground. And it wouldn't take them very long to do so, But Mike's always going to be the number one contender in my book. And although there's some other boxers out there that's pretty good, but I don't think nobody measures up to Mike Tyson. Nobody's really ever did things that Mike Tyson's done, as far as being in the ring and the things he actually done to his opponent in the ring. There's some fights that he did that you'd almost think, this guy wouldn't survive it, because he would really put the punches on them. And you could tell by when he hit the guys, the way they would buckle and drop like a dead fly. You know what I mean? So that and a lot of people was, whether they admit it or not, a lot of people was concerned against concerned of the opponent of Mike Tyson. Because once you see the beating that they take, you after the fight, you're almost wondering if the guy's going to survive or not, because that's how brutal he was. And he just knew when he goes in there, he was coming out the winner, And that happened many a times. If you're not familiar with Mike Tyson boxing, do your research on it and watch some of his wins. It's on the internet. You can check it out. And but he was just a massive boxer, and I ain't seen nobody yet that is even close to him. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, there's some good boxers out there, but nobody's put a show on like Mike Tyson. Nobody's into the show like Mike Tyson. And I really don't think there's anybody out there that could start it and finish it in the length of time that he used to do. I remember people used to get kind of mad because back in the day, they would get the pay-per-view to watch the fight. And then when it come up time for Mike Tyson's fight, it wouldn't last no time. But after that happened a couple times, then people got used to it. But still, people still, got the pay-per-view, or they went to the fight and tried to get the best seat in the house. Just whatever they could afford, really. And it was just something to see him. And also, it's for today's time, it's just entertaining to see him, like, do an interview or whatever. And I don't know if people approached him, as far as, like, doing advertisements for him, like, advertising, certain vehicles and all that. But I'm sure if they did that, that would actually spike up their sales too. Because definitely he's an entertainer, and a lot of people like Mike Tyson. Now, a younger generation, they might have a Pacific boxer that they like, but if they're any way, shape, or form entertained by boxing, they've sure heard of Mike Tyson and all the others from back in the day, And I suggest to you, if you're not really a boxing fan, if you would just look Mike Tyson's fights up and just watch them, you'll see what I'm talking about, And but just him alone is he's always been a great entertainer, and he just a different kind of character, basically. You know what I mean? But that being said, I did want to mention, if you haven't seen the Theo Von interview with Mike Tyson, make sure you check it out, because it's so far it's the best interview I've watched so far, and so check that out, see what you think, leave your comments, and make sure, if you haven't subscribed to the Detroit's Darkest Times channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the like and the notification bell. And if you would like to donate to the channel, the Cash App is $FC313, and the PayPal is DDT313. If you'd like to donate, feel free to do so. If you're not able to, and you still want to support Detroit's Darkest Times, make sure you subscribe, hit the like and notification bell, and pass the word on to other people, and just check out everything that we put on here and everything we have to offer. But today's segment, we're going to get into some more stories on Trumbull Street in Detroit City. And I wanted to bring up the situation where a friend of mine, Charlie, and I wanted to go through his story a little bit so people can understand what kind of friend he is to me. But that being said, let's get into it. When I first met Charlie, it was on Trumbull Street, and it was actually coming home from school at Edmondson Elementary School in Detroit City. And when I first met him, he was just a open kind of person, you know. He wasn't quiet or anything like that. He was just, you know, as soon as he met me, he just was outgoing and things like that. And we started running around together around about third grade, and hung out a lot, did a lot of different things. He had a lot of incidents during his journey. So did I, you know, and people sometimes pass judgment on people without knowing the full story. You know what I mean? So that's a little bit about what we're going to discuss, and then once I share the things that me and him did and things like that, you can be the judge of what you know, your opinion on what you think about him. But we had met, started running around together. Then at the end of the school year, we actually skipped school the last day of the year. And there was this apartment building on Canfield and Trumbull. And it's a big apartment building. Actually, it was two buildings. It was like one on the corner, and then there was an alley, and then there was another one. And in this building, in these two buildings, they were like condemned buildings, but it had some apartments that people were living in, you know. And it was like, it was a huge building, and it had a lot of apartments, but in the front there was probably like 4 apartments that was actually lived in. The rest of it was, you know, abandoned. And then across the alley on the next building, there was same situation. There was like 4 or 5 apartments, maybe 6, but these are real big buildings, and the rest of it was condemned. But they had like the older guys had built a clubhouse in the basement of the building across from the alley. The second building off from Trumbull, basically, is what it was, in Canfield. But they had, you know, his apartment in the basement, and they actually made it into apartment, but it was really just a hangout that, you know, the older guys hung out, we hung out, things like that. And they used to tell us if we ever skipped school, just to go down there and hang out instead of being on the streets during school hours. And at this time, we are in the 3rd grade. And some people's going to find this hard to believe, but back in the days, we did a lot of unheard of things, just put it that way. And we're going to get into it. But anyways, we decided we know we're going to pass. And so we decide we're going to skip school. So we go down in that apartment clubhouse in the basement of this building. And the caretaker over there was a dude named Dave Lightning. And Charlie got him to go buy some beers. And he got Miller beer jumbos. And we actually just hung out down in that basement apartment and listened to the radio and drunk them beers. And I remember when we was partying down there, we had drunk them beers. We actually both got sick, because you're talking young cats, drinking jumbos of beer. And I believe it was like 6 of them, so I believe it was like 3 each. And well, at this time, I think that's a crazy situation, but this is what happened. You know what I mean? So the dude bought them because Charlie asked him to go get them. He went and bought them. And then we just hung out there, drunk the beer, listened to the radio, and actually both of us got sick. And then when it was time, when school was getting out, a lot of the kids had to walk past that building to go home. So once we seen everybody going, we had the window open and it had a wire covering the window. And once we started hearing them headed down the street, we knew it was time to head to the house. But for some reason, this clubhouse, it had furniture in it and a radio and stuff, but I don't recall it having a clock in it. You know what I mean? Because back in them days, who was trying to keep time in the first place, especially if you was out hanging out having a good time. Because most of the time, you just if you was hanging out and you knew that it was time to go home when it gets dusty dark or when the street lights come on. Then that was basically everybody's time to get back to the house, But we had did that. Then we, as time went on, we hung out, all over the neighborhood, and we used to, we was walking down the street one day, and Detroit's Finest rolled past, and had Charlie's brother in the back seat of the car. So they turned into the alley, because down that alley, close by Grand River, was a precinct. And actually, I think I seen it on online not too long ago. They got it listed now as a mansion, but I don't know if they converted it. Somebody bought it and converted it into a mansion, or even if that's a legit picture that I seen on the internet, because this precinct looked like a huge brick place, kind of like old school, like a castle or something like that. So whether it's still the precinct or somebody actually bought it and converted it into a home, but that's a picture I had strolled past, and it looked like the same. It looked like the same precinct, but it said it was a mansion or something like that. So somebody might have converted it or something. But anyways, they was turned down the alley, and they had his brother in the back of the car, and he started yelling, chasing the car, and then he turned around and came back. And later he told me that what happened with his brother is he was trying to break in a place, a dog and cat hospital or something like that, and he was trying to break in, and that's what happened, And so, and a lot of people did a lot of different things in the city as we was growing up. And just like in any city, you know, things take place. Some people get in trouble, some people don't. They just, you know, hang out and keep their nose clean in that matter. But then as time goes by, we're at a grocery store on Trumbull, and because sometimes we'd go to that grocery store and see if people wanted help taking their groceries, just older people, if they wanted help taking their groceries to their car or something. And then we would do that just to hustle some money and stuff like that. And we hung out in that parking lot of that grocery store. And one time his cousin, she come to the store and he's talking to her. Then he comes over to me and he says, "Hey, this is my," he introduces me to her and he said, "This is my cousin, Jackie." And this chick had red hair. And, but anyways, he introduced me to her, and then I actually started going with her at that point. And then we used to, you know, roam through the neighborhood, go downtown, hang out downtown. And then after that, I met Jackie's brothers. And she had she had three brothers, and she had one sister. And I met them. Her oldest brother was living down the block from her, and he had an apartment. I think him and his friend, a dude named Mark, they had a basement apartment. And I had met him just one time. We was all walking past his apartment. And but they was all cool people, you know. And then me and Charlie just used to roam around the whole neighborhood with a lot of other friends of ours, things like that. And one time he come by my place and I was on the front porch, and he looked like he'd been drinking. And then he has a jacket on because it's a little bit cold out. And then he pulls out this paper sack, and he's got prescription cough medicine, and he's actually drinking it. And I don't know if this cough medicine belonged to him or belonged to somebody else. I don't really know. But I did tell him that, man, you shouldn't be doing that because that ain't made to drink like that, you know. And but I thought that was crazy that, you know, he was drinking that cough medicine like he was, you know. So he probably got sick later on, or maybe the next day or something. But, you know, that was just something crazy. Then later on down the road, we actually hang out a little bit at Jackie's house. And then her other brother started running around with us, Wayne, and stuff like that. But mostly it was just me and Charlie, and then some other friends of mine. And sometimes we would go with me and Jackie and Charlie and all of us. We'd go with her sister and her boyfriend. And her boyfriend had a car, so we used to run around the neighborhood in the car. Then he used to come down Trumbull to Elm Street, where I used to stay at, hang out down there. And then we parted ways. And then later I find out that he was dating this girl. And I hear this through another friend of mine. He's dating this girl, and this girl made up a story on him or something. He actually went to jail and had to do some time and things like that. But the other friend of mine that was telling me the story, he was like, that girl just made up that story. And this is years later. He done did the time and everything, But said that girl made up the story because he was getting ready to break up with her. And so really it was just a made up story. But it's somehow he ended up going down for it anyways. But so, and I don't know the details in it because, like I said, I just heard this from another friend of mine, and he had went away. Then another friend of mine told me that while he was away, and I believe his older brother was away, that a lot of things were happening in the neighborhood and stuff like that, and it was just a lot of crazy incidents took place that I heard about, and but all in all, Charlie was a cool dude. I had never had an issue with him. We always got along, and I just heard he went down a rough road, after as time passed and we actually separated due to moving to a different neighborhood and stuff like that. But I would still hear and hang out with some other friends of mine, and they would like tell me what was going on in the old neighborhood or whatever. And that's just some of the stories that I heard. And so hopefully Charlie's doing okay today, and Jackie's doing okay today, Wayne, all the people that's from Trumbull Street. Hopefully they're all doing well. And a lot of people had just moved away. There's some people stayed on Trumbull Street, and then a lot of people moved away to different neighborhoods and different places and stuff like that. But Charlie was a cool dude, and I just heard he went down a rough path, and I heard that the girl that he was with just made up some stuff on him, and he had to go deal with it. So I don't know the whole story or what the details is or anything like that, but I do know a friend of mine told me some of the stuff that he was dealing with and stuff like that. So I kind of felt for him. So hopefully he's doing okay today. Charlie was a good friend, and who knows, you might cross paths again later on in the future. Who knows? But that story right there, it was just there's more that goes with that, a lot more, to be honest with you. But we're just going to keep it at that. I just wanted to, bring that story up, and that was just a journey that we went down and stuff like that. And but like I said, hopefully he's doing okay. Hopefully everybody from Trumbull Street's doing good, and we're gonna leave it at that. And we will be back on here at another date. Just stay with us. Be a part of Detroit's Darkest Times. Spread the word about Detroit's Darkest Times. And more to come. Peace out.